Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 is coming to a close. 2066 is approaching. Final day of the year, 2025, the year we return to the Premier League. The year we actually took after a up and down start. Now we're taking the Premier League by storm. Everybody is talking about Calvert-Lewin for England. So yeah, everything very good. Everything is going fine. Very good end of the year. But first and foremost, we made it to episode 16, which is actually my favorite number. If you some sound in the background, is because we're preparing some dinner for tonight, for the fireworks. So the oven has just been opened, and that's why you hear some sounds, But as I said, 16 my favorite number. So very glad that I had to do the introduction today. So first question, you might wonder, you're going to ask Lucky about what do you prefer between 3-5-2, 4-3-3. But my first question is actually, what have you planned for tonight? For the welcome committee of 2026. Hopefully, the year we stay in the Premier League. Yeah.
Right. To be honest, mate, it's gonna be a very boring answer. I tried to plan something with my friends, but they're all busy, and we planned it too late because my friend group and I say my friend group and I, not me. My friend group are very bad at organising stuff. So it's always one person who has to organise stuff within the friend group. Now, when this person is busy and forgets to organise something, nothing gets organised. So I asked them the other day if they want to go out somewhere and have some drinks or something, but they're all too busy. So I'll be doing nothing.
Yeah.
Probably just playing some video games tonight, to be honest, mate.
Still a good plan B, though. Still a good plan B, but
I've tried. I've tried.
Yeah, sometimes I do too now on vacation. I'll just download the NBA 2K 2016 and Formula 1 25 because I have my cousin coming tonight. So usually sometimes I batter him at NBA 2K. Sometimes he batters me. He's doing pretty well, actually. Plays in the in non-league here in the basketball scene. He's averaging 19 points per game right now. Yeah, he's 3 years younger than me. Yeah, he's doing well. I made him start playing basketball, years ago. He's shooting guard, small forward. Yeah, more small forward. Because he's a personal trainer, so he has grown some muscles now. He's getting slower. Yeah, he's getting slower with pace, but stronger with. He's also making some highlight mixtape. Because they have a person filming all the games, and they can pick all the stuff, all the good basket, the good buckets that he made, in the game. But yeah, we made a good discovery today, actually, that Lucky is the Daniel Farke of his friend group. He needs to get the group going. He needs to to organize everything. Yeah. No, I'm the opposite. I will be, if I were there with you in Manchester, I would be one of your friends. Basically, it needs to be dragged rather than be the organizer in this.
So you're part of the problem, Andre, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm alone. I'm more, especially during this day. I also enjoy. I've been working a lot. In the family, I also sent you the video yesterday or 2 days ago. Where I was working that big avenue, Umberto, the first avenue, and you said, you're in the mall in the Buckingham Palace. Yeah, it looks like that, actually. You look like that, actually. Yeah. But yeah, I know I've been playing too some video games. But I played some FIFA yesterday, yesterday night. Actually, with the good sliders, I don't know what happened, but I beat Villa 7-1.
Oh wow!
I don't know why.
The sliders so creative.
No, they were realistic because I drew 2-2 at Forest. The previous game I do the career with Leeds now with my player too, because every year I do. It's like a tradition since I was as a kid. Doing the career with my player. To in Leeds, with Leeds. So of course, no new signings. I was just my created player, of course. But yeah, great start. And now I'm like third in the league. Table. I don't know what happened though, because the sliders are good, because I drew at Forest and then beat Villa 7-1. I don't know. You see that sometimes, there's the script, and that game was probably going towards my way, but the script completely went out of the window, and score 7, even if the post twice with a free kick. But anyway, let's talk about
Right.
real football, because otherwise we will get into your Football Manager career too, and we
don't wanna
will
do
need
that.
probably a separate episode to get into detail into that one. But
We won't do that.
Anyway, very good festive period after the 4-1 best performance of the season against Palace. Now the signing Brennan Johnson, very good signing for
Yeah.
them. Seeing ambition from them. We went to a very tough place where other teams have failed, like Brentford. We've seen Brentford winning against Bournemouth, for example, at home. We got a point in West London, other place. So very good point. Sunderland, other teams have failed, other teams have struggled. Newcastle lost there, in the Tyneham derby. We went there. We deserve to win. For me, 100%. We were the better team overall. They had good chances in the first half too. We were a little bit sloppy in 2 occasions, but apart from that, I think we were the best team on the pitch. So, what's your take on the game, and especially seeing that we adapted throughout the game because of what happened to Joe Rodon, Rolls Rodon?
Yeah, that's annoying, to be honest. I actually think, just very quickly on him, I think the second one is a horrible challenge, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's, to fair, I'm not sure the intent is to really hurt him, but the fact is he's gone over the top. He's gone through the player. It's a bad challenge. It's a bad challenge, simple as that. And you've got to protect players at the end of the day, or this can happen. But yeah, it's gutting losing him, to be honest, because I think he's probably been, in my opinion, I'd say top 3 easily, top 3 players this season in terms of consistency for us. I think he's been outstanding. He's so key in our build-up as well, and he's always been good. Sorry, I can't speak. He's always been good at his recovery side of it as well. So, yeah, really gutted to miss Rodon. But overall, the main theme I actually took out of that game was believe in these players. That's what I got out of it. In fact, believe in the manager and the players. That's what I got out of it. And we can look at each individual, and we'll talk about Aaronson a bit more in a bit. But I'll start with like the actual structure. There's this thing in modern football where, and it's the same for managers and fans, I guess. It's all throughout football. They have a certain way of playing, and that's the idea. That's what you want to play like. That's fine. Farke said it in his press conference the other day. He wants to play possession football. He always will. That's what he enjoys. But I think what he's realizing now, and is you can still do that with these players, but in a different way. Look at that goal we scored. That is the best goal we'll score all season. Every single player touched the ball. Every single one. It started from the back on the right and came across and back across and ended in the middle in the box. That is an unbelievable goal. Now, what you've got there is, I think we were back to a back 4 at the time, right? I believe when we did that.
Yeah,
When we scored that.
because he was already injured, I think. Yeah, he already went off. We'll see the minute.
What we did was we played out from the back. Not only did we play out from the back, we played through the thirds. We played across the thirds. Everything we did in that goal epitomised what these footballers can do. When it wasn't working at the start of the season, the narrative was we have to go long. That's the solution. Everyone was saying it. We have to go long. It's got to be go long, go long, go long. There's times where going long doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's times where these guys can play out from the back because the narrative is we can't, and we can. If we try and do it 15, 20 times a game, 4 or 5 times it won't work and we'll get caught potentially. But this is proof that these guys can do it. I mean, every part of that goal was ridiculously good. Every player was calm. I actually looked at Sunderland's shape in the goal. It was actually pretty good. When we played the ball back over to the left side, the press was pretty good. They had a man-for-man press. They shut us down that side. They did quite well. It was one guy in midfield, I can't remember who it was, who Stach ran off. That's where the mistake came. But everything we did in that build-up was perfect. The movement, the width, the depth from the goalkeeper to start off with to apply it so they could apply the press. When they took us down the left side, which they made us go down quite well, they cut the middle off. The decision-making from the players, the speed in which they did it was important. And then the movement in midfield was perfect. And then the quick switch out wide was perfect. You take one extra touch in that switch, or the pass isn't perfect to Aaronson, the move slows down and you might have a 1v1 out wide. And then DCL's movement to be on the blind side of the defenders the entire time until the last 2 or 3 steps is perfect. This is what these guys are capable of, mate. Now, I agree, we shouldn't try it every single time, obviously. But they're good players. We've shown this season we can go long at times. We can play through the thirds at times. We can soak up pressure at times. The key thing is adaptability. And I believe we've always said that on this. It's all right playing one way, which we still do. Farke still wants possession. Good, that's fine. But you can get possession in different areas. You can approach it differently. You can go more direct first. That doesn't mean you're not having possession. You just go quicker. And then you can dominate in the final third a bit more. And I think he's realising that. And these players are standing out now we're doing that because they're actually very good players. We still need quality to add around them. We still need stardust to add around them. 100%. That will never change. We still need depth. But we'll look at Aaronson very quickly as well. That's an individual that, I've always said I never give up on players unless it's an injury thing or an age thing. You look at every professional footballer, right? Every single one of them. None of them are rubbish. None of them. It's impossible. The odds of becoming a professional footballer are so slim, it is impossible that you are bad. Impossible. There's unbelievable footballers that I've known growing up that are not even in the game anymore, right? The levels are ridiculous. The only reason you don't perform as a footballer is you don't fit a tactical system. You've lost your identity as a footballer. Maybe you've got off-field issues or motivation. Those are the reasons. You don't lose your talent, especially not in your mid-20s. Maybe when you get to 33, 34, you lose your legs. So it's about finding how these players can, 1, gain their identity as a footballer back. 2, are they happy at the club? Are they happy as a person? And 3, from that, can you find their role in the team? And look at Aaronson now. He looks more confident. Stach. They both look more confident. They found their role. They seem happy. They seem comfortable. And suddenly, they don't look like bad footballers, particularly in Aaronson's case, who's been told he's the worst footballer since da-da-da. He's not a bad footballer. He has his flaws. He always will. But if you use him right and he's confident, he's very good. And that's kind of the outline. So I've gone for a while here. That's kind of the outline for the team for me. There's a good bunch of players here who will give you everything you want. And Farke is now realising that being adaptable is probably the right answer. And we're seeing good results from it. Sorry, that was really long.
No, don't worry. If you talking about long, then I shouldn't even be on this one. but yeah. No, I was. I actually checked because, of course, Rodon went off in the 31st minute, so we scored at the start of the second half. So yeah, we were ready with a back four then, because the change had already happened with Tanaka coming on. But yeah, I agree. And also, there's one key word for me. It's 2 key words actually, and this one, learning process, because it back four at Brighton, back four at Forest. We pointed out in that podcast. I remember the need to speed up and actually the way to beat the press. And if you see that the ball when we start the action, the build up for the goal of DCL at Sunderland actually goes wide, then we make it central with Stach, and then we use again the wings going to the other side with Aaronson, and then going inside with Calvert-Lewin. It's absolutely it shows you that they've worked on this to beat the press, because they are similar Sunderland in certain ways to Brighton and Forest. And actually, those mistakes that we made at the City Ground at the Farmer Stadium, they didn't repeat against Sunderland. They didn't repeat against other teams. We look a completely different team after what happened at Man City. Like I said last week, a new Leeds was born there. We look confident. We look a group. We look united. Leeds United, really united. Yeah. Everyone knows what he needs to do. We operate to our strengths, but we know that we can adapt to. We have the capability to adapt, and I think the key thing is, and we need to give a lot of credit to Farke because Aaronson, apart from the West Ham game, probably before that in a 4-3-3 wasn't that effective. He was the most criticized player in our squad. Right now, maybe he starts in the number 8 position on paper in a 3-5-2. He moves to a right wing position on paper on a 4-3-3. But the way he plays in terms of covering spaces, number of touches, the way he needs to play in that position, in the final third is completely different to the one before City. Now he always has very often a player near him or goes towards the ball, 1-2 touches, moves a lot. I think Aaronson is even more effective off the ball now rather than with the ball. Of course, he made the assist on the goal, but even off the ball, his movement, dragging a player along with him, covering or occupying a free space, in order to help in the build-up is massively underrated now. And that is down to Farke adjusting and tailoring a role for him. Same as Stach. Stach, when we played in a 4-3 before, that the famous game now against City, he often went forward, but then struggled to track back and cover. And we were exposed, with him and Longstaff. I've always said, that's facts, the majority of the goals that we conceded in the first part of the season came from midfield, runs from midfield, runs that were not followed, especially by Longstaff, but also from Stach. I remember Chauna not pressed by Stach when he scored from outside the box against us and Burnley. Now Stach with this 3-5-2, he has 3 players behind him. He has also the fullback covering for him, the wing-back in this case, covering for him. So he knows that he has the freedom to dictate, to contribute in the build-up, but also the freedom to move when he reads a situation well to get forward off the ball, but also when we need to beat the press, because we often go, of course, to Gudmundsson or Bogle. He's that adjoining player, and like he with the goal, with his capability to move the ball with his feet, and with just that one first touch, you cannot beat the press, and indeed actually, because first touch, you bypass the player and you have some space ahead of him to run into, And some people compared him to Declan Rice at the start of the season when he signed, because of the body type is leaner than Rice, of course. But the way they play actually, because Rice is not a proper box-to-box one, he's a player that because of his body type, now he's really grown muscles, He needs to time his progressive runs. He cannot run up and down the pitch consistently. He's not a box-to-box player. Stach can be the same, because when Ampadu is pressed, he can be the adjoining playmaker. He can be that helping hand. But also, he's not a fast player in terms of box-to-box, can make a run up and down the pitch. We've seen that with the previous 4-3-3. Now, he knows that he needs to time the runs, the progressive carries that he does, because he has a limited fuel, in his tank.
Yeah, of course.
And he's really smart in doing that because he's actually conducting and managing himself really, really well on the pitch. He's proven to be, of course, when he signed, we said he will need time. It will take time for him to adapt to English football. Now we're really starting to see the benefits of him adapting to English football because he's playing in a formation that allows him to play in a way that is more suited, because remember, he was playing with a player near him, it was a back two with a number 10 and Hoffenheim. In terms of back two in midfield duo with a number 10 in front at Hoffenheim very often. Now, when we are in possession, let's take the example of Aaronson, Aaronson starting in the number 8, but he covers the area that he used to cover last season in the number 10 position, but he's similar in that sense to last season, but there's a fundamental difference for me. It's the fact that he has a freedom of movement from Farke. He has a free license to move all around the final third, So it's really it's really becoming an enigma for the opposition defenders, So with Aaronson moving, he is our attacking threat for midfield, the one that follows up, the one that plays in front of Stach and Ampadu when we get forward, Stach gets forward too, but Aaronson is the one that gets forwards the most. It's like Aaronson, Stach, and then you have Amper the further back, to provide some cover. But that one, I think, is a situation that Stach is more used to, because the situation similar to what he was used. Of course, different information, but he was used to play with a player near him like Amper, to be that the one in the middle. In this case, he's the one in the middle, because he has Amper behind him and Aaronson that is he has the freedom to advance more than Stach. So that really suits him. We are playing players to their best, even Gudmundsson. That's what he did at Lille, for example. Vogel is more defensive minded, we know that, but he still can prove to be a threat going forward. But we need him to be more defensive minded, and he's more balanced. Let's just say that he's more balanced than Gudmundsson. So that's why it's mandatory to get some replacement for Gudmundsson too, because he's really spending all his energy, every game.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. But Aaronson, Calvert-Lewin, the fact that we provide, because Calvert-Lewin is scoring those goals in the box, our Yorkshire Inzaghi, the Yorkshire Inzaghi. But you need to give some credit to who's playing the balls to him, So, and if you remember Calvert-Lewin at the start of the season, those balls were not getting there, or fewer times, he wasn't getting the service. So those tactical adjustments individually, you can see that Farke and his staff work with some players to adapt them to the system and make it work. So remember that before Chelsea was on the brink of being sacked, it was Gary O'Neill in the press hours before the match. And that game changed everything, because it shows that they had done their homework, they outclassed Maresca again. After the game at the two defensive master classes that we did last season, 2 years ago, Leicester City.
Yeah.
But that shows you that Farke he's been heavily criticized. He cannot adapt. But he's actually adapting. He's actually adapting because, like you said, you were spot on, mate. To say he's proven that he's realized he can play possession football even with a different information that he's barely used in the past. Because the best football that Farke has played was, for example, Norwich. He developed Jamal Lewis on the left, Max Aaronson on the right, and he always had the number 10 in front of two midfielders. Mönchengladbach, Stindl, Plea, Thuram, different players, But it was always like, for example, Neuhaus and Weigl, for example. So it's not guaranteed that the manager can adapt. Look at Mourinho. Look what happened to Mourinho. Look what happened, like Pep too. Pep adapted because his football is completely different to the football that he played at Barcelona when he first brought into the scene. Either you adapt or you are left behind, by football. And Farke adapted, and he's actually proving that he can be an adaptable manager. So that criticism now has been proven wrong by the games, by the performances. Mourinho didn't adapt, Mourinho didn't adapt. Look at him. I think he could still have been, he still could have been a top manager at a top club. But after Spurs, he went to Roma, then went to Fenerbahce, then now went to Benfica. He's not at the top. Of course, these are top clubs, of course, but he's not at the creme de la creme, of football. Pep is still there, Ancelotti is managing Brazil, for example. Ancelotti is another one that people say he doesn't adapt, but it's actually adapted a lot, because you see his early years, he was bringing a different information compared to the 4-2-3-1 that he usually plays, or the 4-3-3 that he played. At Real Madrid, he changed a lot, switched a lot of formations,
It's about, for me, with Farke and these players, and I don't want to go all kind of Ted Lasso, but it is about belief. It's about believing in yourself. It truly is. That's what it's about. Like, for example, we know going into every game, and they've said this in the press, we know we don't have the best players in the league, we don't have the biggest stars, but if we have belief in each other that we're good enough, you'll get something out of football games. It's a simple fact. Like, Farke can believe in his ways. I've never told him not to not believe in his ways. I think you should believe in the way you think football should be played, 100%. So if you believe in it fully, your players, if you're a good leader, your players will believe in it fully and they'll play for you. But what he's done within that is gone, right, okay, yeah, this is my chance now. I don't want to lose a Premier League job here. So he's looked at his players and gone, right,
Yeah.
I can do this. Let's try it. And
there's one quote. Yeah, go on, mate.
Yeah, sorry. You've got to realize, like, these are people, and they're always learning. Just because you become a manager, don't mean you stop learning. He's always learning. He's taking information. Maybe I don't know this, but other managers, maybe they're stubborn. They don't want to listen to their assistants. They've got these ideas. No, we won't do that. We'll stick to what we know. Okay. Maybe the one or two people just said, look, this might work. The recruitment as well, with the players we've got. But whatever happened, he's now found a balance between playing what he wants and playing what the Premier League needs with these players. And what we're seeing is, for the most part, we're competitive, and that's all we can be. We cannot go into every game expecting that we're going to dominate, because we won't. But we can go into every game confident and enjoying. We're playing Liverpool at the weekend away. I can't wait. I don't know if we'll win. I'm not expecting us to win, but I'm confident that we'll compete. And that's what they'll be thinking. And that's the belief side of it. It's so important. Whatever you do, whether it's football or out of football, you've got to believe in yourself doing that. And it's the same for a manager. You have to believe in what you believe in, right? It can't be false. If you don't, the players won't. But it's also a time where you've got to realize, I can believe in what I want, but slightly adjust. Like, like you said, look at the Barcelona team under Pep and this Man City team. Completely different, but the same, right?
Yeah,
completely different, but the same. So, it's good right now. I'm not expecting that from Liverpool, by the way. I'm not. But I do expect. What I do expect is us to be competitive. I don't want us to roll over. We can lose that game. Their players are ridiculously good. That's a fact of it, right? It is.
Yeah.
But if we're not competitive and we have the wrong mentality, I'll be annoyed. I'm not going to be annoyed if we lose and we go there and we actually show what we can do. But we have to keep going forward now, because even with all this good stuff going on, it's still going to be so hard to stay in this league.
Yeah,
that's the reality of it.
We can't trust. We can't trust, man. We can't trust. We need to not to rest on our rollers, our good performance. We need to build up on this. But the fact that what you said, about players needing to believe in the managers. The managers have their beliefs, of course, but as a player, you need to see that a manager is capable of adapting. I used to read this one, this book from the captain of Reggiana, Paolo Rozio. He's been here for 10 years now. He actually says about his first manager, that he had in 2016 here, Leo Colucci. And he said, he's one of the managers that gave me the most, in terms of tactical concepts and charisma, He just had one thing that didn't work, apart from his attitude, his character, his mentality. He's absolutely sticked to his beliefs, and he will throw himself in the fire in order to defend his beliefs. But not every player is the same. Not every player receives your teachings in the same way. See, that's what you meant, A player needs to see that the manager is capable of adapting. You cannot play, for example, if you have Messi, you cannot force Messi to play as a number 9 like Ronaldo, because they're not the same player. If you don't have a physical number 9 and you just have some versatile number 9s, for example, you cannot expect those players to play as older players. For example,
No. But
let's take an example of Leeds. Like Pirlo cannot do what and Match and Calvert-Lewin do, for example. Right. So you cannot expect him to play because, okay, he's a number 9. Number 9, in my beliefs, should hold up the ball. Okay, for example, you have Gallard. Let's another example, Okay, let's put Gallard as a number 9. He will need to play as a matcher. See, that's what Farke did, I have Stach. I tried to play him as a number 8 at the start of the season. It didn't work a lot of ups and downs, because he was still adapting, he was getting forward, struggling to track back at times, leaving some gaps behind him for the opposition midfielders to exploit from. So now, in this new formation, I will adjust and work with the players and tailor some roles for them. That's what happened with Stach, and that's what happened with Aaronson. Now, that's what needs to happen, because Okafor seems to have forgotten in Italy what it felt like to play as a second striker or as a false 9 at RB Salzburg. He started to play like that at AC Milan. Started very well when he first moved there. Then he got injured, and ever since, he's been used. He had been used as a sub, but he really wanted to play as a winger, So he was coming on as an impact sub from out wide, But his real position for me, the position he can really thrive in, is the second striker for me. The position he's playing now. The problem is that he's still staggering, he's still buffering a lot, He still, if he has a chance, dribble one player, he doesn't shoot straight away. Again, he wants to dribble another one. He needs to be more clinical, he needs to be more on the edge, on that, because he has the potential to be a clinical second striker, especially if you have an older player or an aerial dual player like Calvert-Lewin, I don't mean older player, I mean Mecha, aerial dual player, I mean DCL, of course. There's space for Rockefeller to make runs from in behind, to exploit these passes, and he can be clinical. Look at what he did at Wolves, He was near number 9, he followed the play, he got served, and he scored. So that's his position for me. He's not a left winger for me. He can play there, of course, because he's fast. But when he's too far from the goal, he loses a lot of potential. He loses a lot of clinicality. He's not effective as he can be in the second striker. So for me, he's a second striker, absolutely.
I agree. And do you know why I think, and this is what you said, why I think when he's wider, he's not as effective? Because he's a player who likes to keep taking players on. He likes to take the extra man on. I was exactly the same. I'd run down the left, I'd beat the man, I'd stop and wait for the man to come back and try beat him again. Something about me, I just enjoyed it. So when you're out wide, it gives you the license to do that. But if he's central and you're in front of goal already, you have no option but to be more direct and shoot early, right? So actually, yeah, you're right. Playing him closer to goal maybe alleviates this kind of tendency to beat his man 3 or 4 times or try more. It should be very simple in terms of on the ball, his role. You're playing off DCL, who's occupying the centre-backs all the time. You have so much space, whether that's to feet, fine, he can drive, or whether that's in behind. Either time, if you're in behind, it's very simple. If there's a man in front of you, beat him, go direct, beat him directly, find DCL. I think it's that simple. Put the ball in the area where we know he will always be. Look at where all his goals are from. That is it for wingers for me, or the second striker. I think it's quite easy. I do. Not easy to say. I think his role is simple, not easy. Simple is what I'm trying to say. Not easy, obviously. Simple. I think it is quite simple. Off the ball's a bit different, obviously. Yeah. But on the ball, I think it's quite simple. When you have a player like DCL, who's really smart, he knows how to work with other players. Listen to him, listen to what he's saying, listen to where he wants you to run. These kind of things, I just think he needs to step it up a little bit more. He needs to be more consistent, because I actually think, and I think we both think this, he is a very talented footballer who, if he can stop overcomplicating what he's doing with the ball, beat your man. After you've beaten your man, right, can I shoot? Yes. If not, can I find DCL? I think it's one or two options, but it seems to be, can I beat my man? Can I beat him again? Can I find someone else to beat? No, go direct. So I agree, yeah. But this is now we've changed in formation. This is what we're seeing now. Dan James will be back in a few weeks. Nonto will be back. Well, Nonto is back. Harrison's now kind of not played. These are the players now. We have to find roles for them.
Linked to Valencia.
Yeah. It's true. We have to find roles for these players now. There's no wingers in this. Well, obviously, I know we adjust within the game, but what are these players' roles now? What are they playing? When Dan James is back, what's his role now?
No, that's what we covered last week. When we said why do you play Aaronson? Why do you play James? Do you play them as a right wing back, left wing back? But that's not a natural position. James will suffer. Regina, for example, have a player similar to Dan James. That because they don't have depth as a right wing back, because they play the exact same formation as Leeds now. They play him as the right wing back and gets absolutely thrown away physically by the direct opponent. That's the problem. So we need to find some solutions for them in order to where do they fit, and if they don't fit, like Harrison, will we consider a sale to another club? Carlos Corberan, Valencia, Mestalla.
Yeah, that
would be a good deal for both clubs.
I
honestly.
agree. Yeah. We we're going to need every single player to be useful. And I think in this system, is not as useful. You know, you could talk about a Nonto. If we change to a 4-3-3, Nonto can be useful, Dan James can be useful. But what is Harrison going to give us in that 4-3-3 that them other two can't? Do you know what I mean? He's not going to be the option, is he? So we need every single player on the bench that can come on and change a game and impact it, whether that's we change structure or style. It's important. But yeah, we're gonna we'll go straight onto the Rodon stuff, mate. We don't want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to keep this one short for everyone. We're not going to drag it on.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because everyone, and after watching this, we know that you'll be preparing for tonight beat celebrations. You know, to welcome the new year. So yeah, let me just put on the name. Of course, everyone has seen the name of the player we're gonna talk about now, because of course it's been reported in the press. Here he is, Danilho Doekhi. We've checked the pronunciation, by the way, before going live. So yeah, Danilho Doekhi, of course, has some heritage from Suriname. He's eligible for them to former under-21 international for the Netherlands. He's playing for Union Berlin, and he's playing consistently for them, because if you look at the last 3 seasons, of course, even since the season we went down, 2022, 2023, he played for Ajax too, the B team, of course, they're under 29s, with Pascal Strauch, actually, with Matthijs de Ligt, with all these players, Let's just see if there's one of these to see the squad that they had, for example. Let's just pick this one, for example. See, there's like Bakker, another one, Fleming, playing for Burnley now.
Noah Lang.
Noah Lang. Yeah.
Good team.
Even Kai Serraus, Mazraoui. Now he's playing for of course, for Man United. So yeah, you see that he played, because that was the season after, because Pascal arrived in January to Leeds in this season. The season before, the one they won the under-19 league with Ajax. Let's take one to see what the team look like. Yeah,
there he's on the bench,
the same, basically.
A boy on the bench.
Pascal Strauch, Aaron Winter, the manager. Yeah. So he was produced Ajax, Vitesse here, ex-Chelsea before at Rotterdam. Then he moved in the 2022-2023 season to Union Berlin. 25 games straight away, moving from the Eredivisie to the Bundesliga. Then, of course, 24 games the next season, 34 last season, and 15 games this season with 4 goals as a centre-back. So that's Danilho Doekhi. And before we talk about him, that's the next slide. We went on SofaScore, of course, because it is reported not is wrong, basically, on Transfermarkt, because as you can see here, he's playing as a right centre back, not as a centre back at Union Berlin. Because if you go on Transfermarkt, it says like Diogo Leite, Doekhi, and Querfel. No, it's Diogo Leite, Querfel, and Doekhi. So they're playing with a back three. See the movement. So this one is my comparison. We were talking yesterday, me and you, mate, is Malik Chow for Newcastle United. I see someone comparing him to Van Dijk. I don't think he's comparable to Van Dijk for me. People can disagree, but he's more similar to Mike Chow. A tall, mobile, versatile centre-back that can play on both sides. Of course, preferable side is the right side, of course, because he's right-footed. Of a back three, can progress with the ball. We can see how much he's progressed, He's versatile. He's not as fast as Rodon, of course, but I can see a path where we reason like, okay, we need a player capable of offering us what Rodon does, progressing with the ball, carrying the ball, eluding the pressing, what Rodon usually does if Rodon is not available. So I can see that this is a smart, that this will be a smart signing, especially because of these two. The fact that he's out of contract next summer. Fabrizio Romano reported, and even Plettenberg really reported, I think, last summer that, or after the transfer window ended, last summer, that there were Serie A clubs, Bundesliga, I think, and some Premier League clubs interested. So probably he's not going to renew his contract even after scoring 4 goals, especially after not scoring 4 goals with Union Berlin. So I think that will be a sensible one, especially for the future, because he's 27, of course, but you will gain a player arriving from the Bundesliga that is playing consistently in the Bundesliga. He's not a backup like Bornau is right now and used to be at Wolves, you know. So if you look, then I'm gonna leave the podium to you, mate. Is if you look at this game, for example, against Cole, the last one that they played, you know, you see that this back three, by the way, is actually very good, because Diogo Leite and the player there, Querfeld. We talked about him, I think, when he moved from Rapid Wien to them. But yeah, you can see that Doekhi is basically the right centre back, and you see that by the heat map, you know, he is a player that is the replacement, ideally, I think, in the recruitment team minds for Rodon. Yeah, what do you think about Doekhi?
I think it makes perfect sense, mate. Only in terms of financials as well, in terms of the contract running out. So assuming that wouldn't cost too much money. We know we're working on a limited budget. So from that perspective, it makes perfect. I watched him last night, as in I watched the game back. I didn't watch him live. I watched the game against Bayern Munich, where he actually scored 2 goals. It's there from the 8th to the 11th, 25 against Bayern Munich. One thing that stood out, a few things that watching him I really enjoyed, I really liked, was the intensity of the game. So I wanted to watch a game where I didn't actually know he scored 2 goals. So I just clicked on the game against Bayern Munich, because I want to see him against a tested players, right? He had Harry Kane against him, you know, I think it was Diaz as well. So he was up against some very good players. I want to see how these players do against top players, because you'll be against very good players every week in the Premier League. And for the most part, he's not like as agile or as quick as Diaz or Kane's sharp movement, but it was the other one, mate, not that one. I didn't see that one.
Sorry.
But what I liked was his pure physicality, his aggression, and his intensity. Now, looking at the Premier League players, I think what you need, for example, Robin Koch's a great example, a guy who's doing really well in Germany, looks really good, but that's because the intensity is not there. How can these players play in an intense system, an intense game, week in, week out? Now, Union Berlin play an intense style of football. One thing I noticed, again, the back three is perfect, but they play an intense style of football. They go man for man at times. They're aggressive with their markers. The defenders have a lot of clearing, have a lot of battles. And he loved that from a mental and physical perspective. He enjoyed these battles. He enjoyed the duels with Harry Kane. He enjoyed the duels with Diaz. Didn't always win them, but he was very aggressive. He was very present. So from that perspective, looking at our defenders, be all ultra aggressive, very present. Strauch, very present. Rodon, not as much as them two, but still a very present defender. You know, puts his body on the line, right? He fits that perfectly. I think he'd suit the Premier League as well because of this. There was times where he was a little over aggressive. He did leave the line quite early. I think this was partly instruction though, so you can't always overanalyze that. They were very tight to their markers, all 3 defenders. But there was times where obviously that would happen. They would spin him and they'd leave a little gap in behind. Also in the box, he'd be quite, because of how big he is, his little movements to block from side to side are a bit slow at times to react to quick strikers in the box, stuff like that. But again, positionally, in terms of on the ball as well, relatively solid. I don't think he's going to drive with the ball. I don't think that's his play, really, to be honest. Off the ball, potentially. But on it, like Rodon, we're comparing it to Rodon here, I don't think he's a player who's going to drive with it. Probably more similar to the other 2 centre-backs we have.
Yeah, because he's lower. He's lower, you know. He's lower than Rodon. You know? But I think a little bit, you know, in terms of like what Chow does for Newcastle United, you know. If needed, I think he can progress up to the halfway line with the ball and then pass, you know. Like providing that, not of course making that
he's a confident player on the ball.
Yeah, I think he is. Absolutely.
So it makes perfect sense. It's again, I'll go back to the recruitment side of it. You know, as a player in a back three who, you know, as someone who works looking for players in a back three, this is one where I go, this works. This works for me in a back three. maybe the back two as well. But it works better in the back three because that's where he plays. And look, yeah, I think it'd be a great signing. Whether we do it or not, I don't know. There's only a few rumours, obviously, but it would be the type of profile I think we need to look for. It's also a profile where if you are losing Rodon, you kind of don't want a step down. I think it'd be difficult to replace what Rodon can give you. But if you bring someone in who's physically strong, calm on the ball, good positionally, you kind of get in a player who will suit how we play. And again, Union Berlin play not too dissimilar to us, but they're always kind of punching up against teams with better players. So it's always about everyone working hard and being aggressive, and he's good at that. I mean, look at how many games he's played. He's played every minute. So
yeah. And they used to play a back four before the back three too. So I think he can play also on a back four. You know, here they play with a back three. So it's better to check probably on Transfermarkt for this one.
Yeah,
because let me bring on the other one.
It'd be a good signing for me. It'd be a smart,
absolutely
signing, for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, let's just check because I've checked the other day. You know that they used to play a back four before. You know when he first arrived, basically, you know they were playing a back four, so he's used to play a back four too. So that will make sense absolutely. You know because if you don't have Rodon, we know that Biol might struggle at times. You know in a back four. You know you need someone that is adaptable.
Well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was looking for I came with a back four, but I can't find the one that I was looking yesterday. You know, so yeah, let me give me one more second. You know, because
but yeah, while you're doing that, I'll just it's what we need. It's the type of signing we need. To be fair, and I need to watch more of him. I did only watch one game. I'll have to watch a few more. I want to see games where they lost, you know, potentially got a bad rating, just to see if there's some more flaws there that they played quite a aggressive game. Maybe there's games where they played a higher line or they played really deep and it didn't quite work. But they all played really well in that game, so that's kind of a good sample size. Maybe there's one where a few more weaknesses are exposed, but I'll watch another game later on. To be fair, so yeah, here's one where
this one.
Played,
back four, you see. And Vogt, and I think he used to play for Gladbach too, Kevin Vogt. Yeah, Doekhi, Roussillon. He's playing a Charlton, is he right these days? Yeah, Roussillon and Frimmel. So yeah, this one is from last January. So they were playing with a 4-3-3 with Stefan Baumgart as the manager. Man, look who's here.
Oh yeah.
Laszlo Benes. Andras Schäfer, another good player, but physically I don't think he can make it into the Premier League. Good for the Championship, but yeah, unfortunately, physically it's not that physical. But yeah, you know what? If Aaronson can make it, he's not the physical one. Andras Schäfer in a role similar to Aaronson can work too, you know, in that sense. But yeah, see, they were playing with a back four here, and he was playing in that one. So they played different formations that last season, because in some games they were with a back three, in other back four. So he's used to that. I was also looking at the fact that we are doing all the stream without our usual background. So for this time will be all right. Don't worry. It looks like we are in the hyperspace, ready to jump into.
There's no duck. Where's the duck?
Near Coruscant, near Kashyyyk, ready to jump with the Millennium Falcon, you know, and Solo and his friends, with the hyperspace. But yeah. So I think we're gonna wrap it up before before wishing everyone a good year with the final talk, and that will be which player was the most outstanding one so far this season, and which player this season so far, of course, and which one has been the most underrated one in our squad. I think it seems easy on paper, but it's not.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Have you got yours? Do you want to go with your outstanding?
Yeah, outstanding. I think especially looking at the premises, DCL has been the most outstanding one.
Okay.
Because when he signed, you know, me especially, I said, I was looking. I don't know why I said we. It's not Gollum and Smeagol, We when they used. I said, especially last summer when he signed Mecha, Calvert-Lewin, injury prone. Unfortunately, now Mecha was out for some games. Now it's returned, but even Okafor, they are injury prone. Looking at the injury record, so I said, what if DCL gets injured? What if Mecha gets injured? You just have Pirot, and even during this period when we didn't have Mecha, you see Pirot basically didn't play. Played some minutes, but basically didn't play. And when he played, he wasn't effective because he's not ready for the Premier League. He's not ready, even as a sub, and that's worrying. I don't think it's his fault. I think it's down, like you said. You mentioned Robin Koch with the Premier League. It's down to the intensity. It will work perfectly in another league. I think Pirot, even the Championship or some continental one like Eredivisie, for example.
You'd love it. It'd be great.
Yeah, I think it would be a good move for us to run him out in January to build back his confidence. Because number 9s, they need to score goals. They live for the goal. They live for the goals, and it will be frustrating for him not to play much and not scoring goals. So he needs to score goals. He scored in the last 2 seasons the most amount of goals for us, basically.
Yeah.
So he want to get back to that, scoring goals. So I think it will be a good one. So considering that picture, I said, DCL, I like the player. I know what he can do, but he's never been consistent in terms of being injury-free in the last season, and that slowed him down, make him lose his momentum after the Euros. So I was worried. And right now, he's even thinner, He looks in the best shape of his life right now.
Looks very good.
He looks very good, and that is credit to Domogalla, basically. Because when he arrived, in 2 weeks, and that's mental, in 2 weeks, he was already back on a good level of form. Remembering that he didn't do preseason with the club. He trained on his own or with one of these groups that train when they are free agents, So signing him on a free and getting him back to his best shape, keeping him injury free. Sometimes I still think that Farke needs to manage him better in games, especially after even the Palace one. A lot of congested of games congesting in a already congested schedule. I think he needed to come off earlier on, honestly, in that game, because we don't want to overload him. We don't want to risk him unnecessary. When we were up by 3 goals. The problem is that even there, we wait till the end to bring in another player. To bring in, for example, Pirot. So even if you are 3-0 up and there's no time for Pirot for 20-25 minutes, so that shows you where he is right now in terms of the pecking order.
Yeah.
But DCL has been a leader in this, leading by example. The fact that outside the box he sacrifices a lot for the team. Inside the box, he's like I said, the Yorkshire Inzaghi. He's reading of the game when the ball gets inside the box. He's been the leading force in our good run of form, because we haven't lost a game since the Man City one. We've been unbeaten in December, so my extending one so far can only be Calvert-Lewin in my eyes. Honestly, he's already a fan favorite. He's from Yorkshire, so that's also another point. The Yorkshire Inzaghi now has overtaken in my expectations the Urukai nickname. Because of his airline. Looks like Luz, the leader of the Urukai. Yeah,
it does. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. But I'm going to choose someone different just for the entertainment purposes. I completely agree. He's been unbelievable, especially for the last few months. He's found his form again. He looks in ridiculously good shape. He looks really confident, and he looks like a player who genuinely wants to keep his team in the Premier League. And he's found a home. It looks like he feels comfortable here. Like you said, he's back in Yorkshire. So yeah, DCL has been a ridiculous buy, and it's proving really well so far. Hopefully, touch wood, that can continue and he can stay fit.
Yeah.
But just for entertainment's sake, I'm going to say one that is probably be underrated as well. That there's loads of underrateds for me. I'm trying to figure out that one. But for outstanding player, I'm actually going to give it to Joe Rodon, I think.
Yeah.
Mainly
good pick.
because longevity as well. I think he's been outstanding for 3 years for us now, non-stop. I think he's had a handful of mistakes in 3 years. That's it. I think every single game, he comes out, he performs well, he does his job. But not only that, he does more than that. I think in terms of build-up and progression, he's key for us. He's so important. His consistency is vital. The fact that he's stepped up to the Premier League, having not really done great there a few years ago, is testament to his character as well. Everything we kind of do, everything good about us, I can't imagine it without Joe Rodon on the team. I just think he's been a consistent, good player for us for 3 years. And this season coming into the Premier League, I think a lot of players have had dips, some bad games. Maybe he's had 1 or 2 bad games. Obviously, that's going to happen. Maybe he's had 1 or 2 mistakes. But in terms of consistent presence at this level, I just think Joe Rodon's been our best player in that sense. I think DCL obviously is having the peaks of it now, and Rodon's injured, unfortunately. But just giving defenders some credit, I guess, because I think they deserve it for... It's a tough league for a centre-back, especially a newly promoted one. It's tough. Every striker's big, and how many times have we kept strikers silent from good teams? Even wingers. Yeah, Joe Rodon for me has been our most outstanding player. I think he's been outstanding. Underrated. I'll go first on this one. I'll give you a bit more time. This was hard. Yeah. I could have put Joe Rodon in here. This is what I was trying to think.
Yeah.
This is between 2, 3. It's between 3. I'll just say who they are. The 3 I was going to pick is between Goodmanson, who was also close to being my outstanding one as well. I know people in the comments will love Goodmanson. I do too. It's a tough one. Goodmanson, Strauch, and Ampadu are the 3 for me that are underrated. But the person I'm going to go with, I'm going to back our captain, Ethan Ampadu. I actually think he's been, bar Rodon, probably our most consistent player as well. But I do think he's slightly more underrated than Rodon. Speaking from a general perspective as well, I've seen a lot of stuff online from opposition fans going, how are we not beating a team we know Ampadu? He's kind of got that weird stigma to him because he failed at Chelsea when he was younger, kind of thing. At Sheffield United, he wasn't great in the Premier League.
The 3 relegations, consecutive ones.
Yeah, he kind of got that rap. But actually, Ampadu's an outstanding football player. And do you know what it is, Andre? I don't even think I think he can get even better. I do.
Yeah.
I think even in the next, imagine we stay in the Premier League a few years' time. I still think he can be the centre midfielder. I still think he can be the guy. He can be our captain for a long time. I really do. There's so much to his game. He's so adaptable as well. He's a player that can do a lot of things. He can't shoot. But apart from that, he's so good. I just... Everything good about us. We talk about Aaronson having space. We always talk about Stach having ability to go forward. We're talking about intensity, winning the second balls, matching the intensity of the opposition. That comes from him in the midfield. How many times has this guy, any loose ball, any free man, most of the time, he's there. He's on the second balls quickly, loose balls, anything there, he's there. Strong tackler, mentality of the players. He's the captain of the club. This switching mentality, we can talk about the manager, we can talk about the other players. He's the captain. He represents the players on the pitch. And I think it's been a learning curve for him since he became captain of Leeds last season. From when we started last season to now, he's well established as being an outstanding captain for us, in my opinion. I just think he represents the club as well extremely well. No controversies, no rubbish. None of this chatting online stuff. He represents the club perfectly, in my opinion. I think he's a leader. He's a good person. And for me, he's a player that is extremely underrated. I think he's... Yeah. I'd argue, this is very controversial, I'm assuming. I'd argue he's our most important player. I think we look completely lost. Not completely lost, that's harsh. I think at times we can look very lost without him on the pitch. I think he's vital for us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think time has told us, that's just my opinion, I think even in perspective, I think Ethan Ampadu is is stronger in the Premier League than Calvin Phillips for me.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
he's more versatile than him. And
Definitely.
Calvin, now Ampadu, of course, he arrived at Leeds, older, different path compared to Phillips. But I think in the current Premier League, in the current landscape of the Premier League, Ampadu is more effective than Calvin Phillips, because I still think Calvin is a good player, but his career choice, when he moved there, of course, we've seen even in his long commentary that Leeds wanted to sell him with Radrizzani. But at least stayed at Leeds, I think he would have had a different career trajectory. When he moved there, didn't do well at West Ham, struggled ups and downs at Ipswich, now he's frozen out basically, not playing at Man City. So yeah, that's unfortunate to be fair. But right now, focusing on Ampadu, I think it's a good pick from you, along with Rodon, because let's not forget, of course, Ampadu played in the Premier League with Sheffield United. I think he had a good season despite the relegation. But for example, Rodon had played in the Premier League just for Spurs, barely played. So at least you know what you could expect it from Ampadu, because he had already played a full season in the top tier in England and 2 seasons in the top tier in Italy with Venezia and Spezia, But with Rodon, he was not guaranteed, because he had played 6 months at Rennes and barely played for Spurs. So the best football from him was with Swansea in the Championship. So it was not guaranteed. And the improvement from him is one of the most consistent centre-backs in the World League. And we're going to massively miss him. I've seen people say, just play Bornau cannot play as a right centre-back. He only play him in the middle because, like Beale, because they don't have the pace. They need 2 players, the left and right centre-back, to cover them. Otherwise, when they are exposed to 1v1s, they will really struggle. We've seen Beale in one occasion when we had just at the start of towards the end of the first half, when we had just switched to the 4-3-3, when Bogle had gone forward, and it was Adingra against Beale, and Adingra absolutely did him there, and they didn't score, but they went really close. And with Ampadu, I agree with you, he's the most important player for us, because Guriev is a playmaker too, but obviously something completely different from Ampadu. So probably Stach can be the backup to Ampadu if we want to switch the things, different players. We don't have someone like Ampadu capable of maximizing and being the center of our build-up like him. We don't have another one like him in our build-up. But yeah, I agree with that. And actually, I'm glad that they didn't take my underrated one, because my underrated one is Pascal Struijk for me.
I'm glad you said 100%. That. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, apart from the doppelganger stuff that has been said in the last 3 years, I don't see that, to be fair, honestly. And if you want to talk to him, because he keeps copying my airline and beard, it's down to him. It's not for me. No, I'm just joking, of course. But I think it's been massively underrated, because Rodon got a lot of praise, but because he does the hard tackles, he does the marvelous things, the progressive carry, Struijk brings you calmness on the other side. Does similar things at times, but goes under the radar, because Rodon completely outshining him, with the highlight reel stuff on the other side. But it's been so vital, Struijk, absolutely. His ball movement, his ball circulation, a lot of that stuff, He's been reliable. He's been reliable, and I say underrated because the previous experience that he had in the Premier League finished massively wrong. Not because of his fault. I think because of the tactical confusion. They played him as a left back. They played him with every different centre back that you can name in the Premier League, in a back to Wöber, Koch, Cooper, Ayling, Christensen too. Even with adaptive players. So he never found a partner like he did with Rodon, for example, or with Beale. Beale allows him because he covers the center space to stay a little further forward, when we are in possession, and contribute massively in the build-up, Is like what you can call a wide back, for example, because Gudmundsson gets forward as a wing back, I think Rodon and Stach are wide backs,
Yeah.
Our only real typical center back is Biol, and then when we are in possession, we have two wide backs,
Yeah.
We have a very good shape, when we are in formation. It's very good to see, and it's one of the secrets, especially with that goal, mirroring what Argentina did with Serbia Montenegro in 2006, and what we did actually with Wolves under Bielsa, that season. What was it? Wolves? Yeah, I think it was Wolves. I've seen the clip today too.
I've seen 2 or 3, to be fair, similar.
Yeah,
so there's a few. Yeah, we did it every week, didn't we? On the Bielsa,
There were so many. But yeah, Stach doesn't get a lot of praise. He's always been. Now he's inherited the role of Cooper, because Cooper did a lot for Leeds and was always criticized by a part of the fan base. Now Stach did a lot for Leeds too. Especially his breakthrough season when he moved from the under-21s to consistently the first team, because the season we got promoted under Bielsa was part of the first team but played a bunch of games, but as sub, of course. I think probably the one at Derby, did he started there when we had Shackleton scoring? I think he started that one. But then the season after, he broke into the team and he was one of the most promising centre-backs, in the league that season, the season when the COVID season, basically. When they allowed fans to return, just the final game, against West Brom.
So here's proof that you never trust transfer market when you do back threes, because it's put Stach as a right centre back and Rodon as a left centre back. So never believe them guys, all right? Trust me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you said.
They're not going to sponsor us now. They're not going to sponsor us.
Oh, I love it. I use it for everything else, just not for formation.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad you said him because I wanted to say him. I think Gudmundsson as well is an honourable mention. I've liked him a lot this year. Stach, but he's had too many up and downs for me as Anton Stach. But he's finding his form now, so that's good. But yeah, I think Stach, I think when you mentioned them kind of playing left back, what I mentioned earlier about players losing, they don't lose talent, they don't lose how good they are, they lose their identity as a player. I think that's what he did. And I think it took him a long time for him to refine his identity as a player. Because you've been told you're playing left back against quick wingers every single week, exposed the system we played as well. That is brutal for any player. I mean, look at Meslier. He never really got his confidence back from that season. So they lose confidence, you lose belief. But what Farke has done, again, coming back to Farke, being a ridiculously good leader, by the way. I've always said this. He's a very good leader. He knows how to put arm around a player and go to that player. You'll be all right with me. I'll look after you. And every single player, well, most players, not everyone, this doesn't, people fall out with people, it happens, that's football. Most players will tell you that they've got better under Farke. They'll all tell you that. All the ones at the club right now will tell you, under this manager, we feel happy, we're confident, the team is good. That's down to the leaders at the club, and that's the manager and the captain. And Stach, being one of the older guys, older in terms of how long he's been at the club, he as well sets that standard. And I agree. I'll end on this. As we spoke about this in our chat the other day, mate. I've been watching a lot of centre backs for the scouting vids that are going to come in January. They are coming, guys. I've been watching a lot of centre backs, and my biggest outcome from it was ours are very good. Yeah. Our centre backs are very good. I'm watching centre backs going, yeah, he's decent. Is he better than ours? No. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of the outcome I came. So our centre backs, they are very good. Stach and Rodon are underrated. You think about it, right? For example, if we say they were never at our club, they were performing like this for someone else, we're in the Championship, we got promoted next year, we get no chance of getting them to. We've got some really good centre-backs. It's like if we go down, I hate talking about this, by the way, but if we went down, we'd lose them instantly. They'd go to good clubs. Very good clubs, I think. Not top, but good clubs. So, yeah, our centre-backs have been outstanding this season for the most part. But, yeah, I think we'll end it there, Andre. I think we're a short one. Go on, mate.
Just one suggestions for Stach, because I think the way he's playing, now the Netherlands are stuck with centre-backs, maybe you want to wait. Now his age, of course, is progressing, but he might need to consider to declare for Belgium, honestly, because they need some centre-backs. He was born in Belgium, of course. I think he has 3 passports, Belgian, Dutch, and Indonesian.
Who are the Belgium centre backs currently?
I think the best. Files, I think, is still involved. Looking at the last squad, I can go very quickly on this one. I know a short route. Yeah, the final one they had Theat, of course, now playing for Eintracht. The Winter, not doing well with AC Milan, to be fair. Mekele. So yeah, you see that would be an opening, because the other ones that were not called up because of an injury or form were the Bast, Sporting. I like him, and he can play also as a right back. Wout Weiss and Al-Dakhil that was playing for Stuttgart. So I think there's more opening for him, because if you go and look at the Netherlands, I think there's a shout, because Weiss was getting into the squad when he was in the championship, and still is in the championship, of course, with Leicester City. But if you go and look at the Netherlands, they have Vake, De Ligt, Van de Ven, Timber, Gertruida. Gertruida, of course, now playing in midfield too. Van Ecke, De Vrij, Bas. There's a lot. So
I think it's a great shout, mate. I'm assuming he'd consider it, because look, at the end of the day, I think he's good enough to play international football. I think
absolutely.
He's a really good centre back. He always gets criticised, Stroud. I never quite understand it. I think he's a really good centre back. I think whenever he makes a mistake, it's emphasised a lot more. Rodon makes mistakes too, and it's never mentioned. That I've always liked Stroud. He's such a strong centre back, but like you said, he's calm. He's a calm guy. He doesn't get overreactive. He doesn't lose his head. He's calm. He makes good decisions. He's composed. And we need that when we've got, Biol and Rodon, who are probably a bit more hot-headed. So, yeah, even Indonesia, mate, I'm fairly sure he can play for Indonesia, right?
Yeah, they're actually, why not? They're doing what Ireland did, They're doing what Ireland did, in the 90s, with Jack Chart, now Indonesia. They are basically verifying every single player from abroad in the Netherlands, because of course he was a former colony of the Netherlands. So they have picked like Jay Idzes from Sassuolo, good player. They have Verdong from Lille. Jordi Amat now has been naturalized, 33 years old. Maybe you remember them. You remember him. Kevin Dix from Gladbach. They have some players like Pelupessi, used to play for. I think he used to play in. No, he didn't. No, he was playing for Twente. Sorry, years ago.
Yeah,
that's why I remember him.
Mies Hilgers as well, who plays at Twente. He now plays for. He's a good centre back. He now plays for Indonesia.
Yeah, Romani, Oxford. Yeah, Audero for Cremonese. Yeah, they're basically finding everyone with a relative from Indonesia. But I've checked. The last time was 4 years ago when he said, Strauke, I can only pick Netherlands and Belgium when called up. And remember, he was called up, I think, in the pre-list of the World Cup 2022, but didn't make the final cut of in terms of going actually to camp and train and try to get to fight for a place. So he's just in the extended list. Hasn't been called up since. So Belgium is a good shout for him, honestly. Was born in Deurne.
He needs to hurry up. It's the World Cup in the summer. He needs to do it quickly and then get going.
Yeah,
I think he'd be in with a shout. I really do.
Absolutely. You can come on, Pascal. You can come back if you go to the World Cup to thank us for this one.
Maybe he wants to chill out in the summer and enjoy his holidays. You never know, but yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there, mate.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for following us this year. We'll see you next year. So in 4 or 5 days, basically.
Yeah.
After the Liverpool game. So after that, I think because I'm a mess with the schedule. I think that there's the Man United one. Of course, that's the Man United one because that was moved from January 3rd to the 4th. I think, yeah. And then we go to Derby, because it's really hard to pick up with the schedule. I need to see them on the app because otherwise I struggle to remember all of them.
Yeah, we've got a tough few games coming in the Prem though. It's going to be tough. It's going to get easier. We've got Newcastle coming up soon as well. Yeah, it's tough. I'm never comfortable. I try not to overanalyze the league table because there'll be peaks and troughs. We'll play tough games. We'll lose. We'll be closer to the bottom 3. We'll go on a good run. We'll be further away. One thing I've noted later on in the season, we have a lot of winnable home games.
Yeah.
A lot of winnable home games. That's, for me, what I'm looking at. Those are the games I'm putting most pressure on. Because those are the ones where we can genuinely... They're the games that will keep us in the Prem. Getting a point or something at Liverpool is great, obviously, but if you lose at Liverpool, that's not your fight necessarily. It's not the end of the world. But the games with teams at home, anyone, to be honest, I think we can beat anyone at home. Those are the ones that I'm looking at right now, saying, let's win them. Let's keep that home momentum, that feeling at home going, because that is really important for us right now. It's that feeling at Ellen Road. So let's keep it. But yeah, Happy New Year to everyone. And you, Andre, I hope you have a good time this evening, mate.
Thanks, man. You too.
And enjoy it.
And
Thank you
everyone
for the
too.
shirt.
Yeah, and always marching on together. Yeah.
100%. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.